Mike from Dimensional Walking. So today I'm going to dig into my archives and tell you some more about the Blue Basin. Last Friday I did a video on a story. Story actually came from several people, but a real good friend of mine told the vast majority of what I told you on Friday. And I was able to go back, as I promised you, and find some other notes that I had put away. And since I just moved, I have a lot of notes that are scattered all over creation. And so anyways, I found the notes and I wanted to bring you a part, kind of a part two, I guess we'll call it. And on this particular part, I like to talk about something that is pretty incredible. Hopefully I won't lose some of you because it's quite amazing actually. But in the first part that I talked about this Blue Basin area in Peru that is really extraordinary, beautiful. All the people I talked to about this all agreed on one thing for sure, that how amazing this beautiful area was up in the Andes Mountains. I guess kind of a couple of them mentioned that they felt it was like Shangri-La in many ways. So anyways, I want to continue with this. And this, I guess I didn't emphasize it in the first video, but this particular place is primarily an underground facility, as some of them called it, where they were taken underground and they were kind of put in kind of a dream state, and then they're really not sure exactly what happens, but they do tell this consistent story about where they kind of went, and they believe that it was somewhere deeper inside this underground facility where they were taken. So again, it was a beautiful facility. It's kind of, they consider it kind of a control center, and it was controlled by a group of entities, including some humans, that sort of managed the energies of the universe, is how they called it. And they didn't give me any extra details. I actually tried to look through my notes and see if I could understand that concept a little bit better, but I couldn't find anything. The other surprise was, and most of what these people that were taken to this place talked about, was this huge nursery. And it was a nursery that was made up of a lot of hybrids from different parts of the universe, different types of combinations, and some of them were with humans combinations. Some of the beings were from, they said, from what they consider advanced civilizations, even maybe different dimensional planes. And this whole nursery seemed to be a big, what would I call it, a big happy place. Everybody in this facility seemed to think this was the greatest delight, I guess is how they put it. So it was considered a privilege to work in this particular nursery with the hybrids. The babies that seemed to be part human garnished the most interest, because, and it was a weird thing, because they cried. Because most of the other hybrids or beings, the little babies, they didn't cry at all. And I guess what the conclusion was, that crying is kind of a sign that you're alone, that you're not connected, and that's why babies cry a lot, and that's why they need to have kind of this magical touch that they need. So again, it was kind of a feeling of them being alone. But the other non-human civilizations that had babies there, apparently the story goes, is that they have strong connections, and these connections are one of the reasons they don't cry at all, because they don't need to cry. So they're kind of they're connected, and they always have this connection between each other in the universe. So again, the human hybrids were quite different, because they were crying all the time, and it seemed like it was just something that everybody that was in the facility really sort of enjoyed in I guess a strange way. So they kept on explaining that the non-humans had a constant telepathic connection to each other, and the crying was a unique part of the human world. Uh, and there was a widespread feeling again that again I'm looking at some other notes that there was great honor if you could actually be part of this uh, hybrid nursery that had these hybrid human children in it. And everybody seemed to love these hybrid children. I guess because they needed this extra holding, um, so they would stop crying. But the crying didn't seem to be a problem. They seemed that they liked the crying. It was an emotion that the rest of the entities seemed to want to have, was this emotional crying. It sort of goes back to the I guess I think about is the uh, story, the Monsters Inc. story, where the crying babies, there's an interest to capture their emotions. Okay, and this sort of seems like it was the same sort of thing that these entities like to be in the presence of the crying. Um, so, anyways, these hybrids actually had a name. The ones that were humans and were other entities. Um, they were called Shilas, and uh, and actually I can spell it for you. It's Sheylla, and they had big heads and they had this kind of fine skin hair on their skin. Okay, and they were called the Golden Children. And I guess they also had, I think one of the people I talked to had kind of this golden glow about them. I don't know if that was imaginary or actually they were glowing. Um, and they were, interesting enough, the humans, of course, the people I was talking to, they said that they weren't really that uh, good looking or attractive or whatever, not by beautiful. They weren't as beautiful by human standards. But apparently, all these other entities thought they were absolutely incredible and beautiful. I guess it's kind of the eye of the beholder, I guess. So anyway, so that's kind of like kind of the basic story here. It looks like this there was this huge, I guess, breeding campaign in this Blue Basin. There still probably could be. I'm not really sure. I haven't talked to anybody in probably 10 years about this, but chances are there's still something going on in here. And I don't know if you believe this. You may not. I mean, I've heard of other ones. When I lived in Albuquerque, there was always talk about there was this huge nursery that was under Kirkland Air Force Base, Sandia Mountain, Sandia area. Um, that there was the same type of nursery there where people had gone and they actually had seen these human hybrids that were in there in this nursery thing. And I was told about 3 times the same stories, which is pretty incredible. But anyways, I'm going to look through my archives, and I know I have some more information about the Blue Basin and what goes on there and why it is probably a real place. And with that, I will say this. Maybe we should honor our human children. Maybe they are a little extra special when it comes to what some of these entities believe. And maybe the ones that don't cry much are not alone, it seems. So maybe if you have a baby or there's babies that you know that don't cry at all, maybe they have a connection, extra special connection to the universe and they don't need to cry. So anyways, I guess that's a possibility. Okay, we'll see you. Bye-bye.